ancient times, this piercing represented manliness and courage. Of course, I'm talking about the belly button. The 90s were pretty great, but back then we didn't have Facebook or Instagram to turn to for our fashion inspiration. We had the MTV. On the MTV, I saw Alicia Silverstone getting pierced in an Aerosmith video, showing me a belly button piercing for the first time. Shortly after that, we saw Britney Spears with her belly button pierced, and this took the world by storm. Before we knew it, every daughter, mother, and grandmother had her belly button pierced. Traditionally, the placement for the belly button piercing is on the upper ridge of that little circle of the belly button, vertical up and down. Now, some people have the anatomy to do the lower or angle them in at the sides. Some people get multiple piercing through this. Ultimately, we're looking for a ridge to pierce. Now, when you look at the chart I have over here, you see the upper one shows the natural ridge, and this has a really good chance of healing up nice and quick. The lower one is good chance of it rejecting out and leaving a big scar. So if you're looking at getting this, your navel should have that ridge like the upper one. There are a lot of piercers out there who will pierce you just to take your money, but keep this in mind. The less of a ridge you have, the better chance of it rejecting out. Now, another thing I want to talk about, this is really, really important, you don't want to pierce the actual belly button itself. If you have purely an outie, you are not a good candidate for this piercing, and it can be very, very dangerous. It's almost as if like your inner organs, your umbilicus, it's right there, and it can send people into septic shock. Very dangerous. Only pierce the ridge of the belly button. Let's look at the painometer for the belly button piercing. Yep, lands right about the medium scale. Now, this piercing does vary on pain quite a bit. If you were to pierce 10 people, everyone's going to give you a different rating of how the piercing felt. Most people, it's not very bad. Generally, I would say a shot of the doctor hurts more than the piercing, but don't take my word for it. Go get it done. Tell me what you think, and leave me a comment in the comments below. Healing the navel up can be kind of tricky. A lot of it depends on you. The clothes you're wearing, if you're touching and playing with it, even leaning up against counters constantly irritates it. Now, under perfect circumstances, maybe 3 or 4 months, you'll be all healed up. But like I said, that means no leaning against counters, you're not wearing the high-waisted pants, and you're taking care of it properly. Sometimes it takes all the way up to a year. If it's taken a year, there's other problems, and you should definitely talk to a piercer. But I would say expect 3 to 6 months to heal this all the way up. Jewelry options for the navel piercing. It's pretty simple. It's a curved barbell. But there's a lot of options we can do with that curved barbell. We can anodize it, which means we can color it. We can add gems, whether they're prong set, bezel set. We can do opals in there. We can do just a basic titanium bar. But stick to the curved barbell, never get pierced with rings, and wait till it heals up to change to any of the dangles or the fancier stuff. Rags, loofahs, and sponges, those are one of the bigger problems people have with navel piercings. They love to grab a hold of, pull on it, and that's going to cause a lot of irritation. On top of that, if you have pants or clothes that are real tight against it or causing that irritation, if it hurts, you're doing damage. Those are generally the biggest issues people have next to touching with dirty hands. So use common sense. If something hurts, back off until you're okay. Otherwise, have patience and give it time. The navel piercing is a great piercing, one of my favorites. They're beautiful, there's a lot of jewelry options, it doesn't take long to heal, and honestly, they're not very problematic. Myself, I've had about 3 of these piercings. I've tried practicing on myself. I've had apprentices do them on me, so they're not very painful. And I love this piercing because of all the jewelry options. You can tell when I do a piercing on someone and they look in the mirror, I think it's the biggest smile I'll ever get for any piercing you see. When someone gets that new belly button piercing and they can look, And that's what it's all about. So that pretty much winds it up with the navel piercing. It's a great piercing, and if you have any other questions or think there's any topic I didn't really hit on the navel piercing, leave it down in the comments. If you've had a navel piercing, hit a like. Even if you haven't had a navel piercing, hit a like. See what I'm doing there? Do me a favor, hit the subscribe button for all future content, and stay tuned. More coming up real quick at you.